Hello, Billy back here with Broship of the Nerds, and today I'm going to talk to you about A Good Girl's Guide to Murder Netflix adaptation. And right off the bat, I'll say that going into this, I was just a little bit hesitant because a lot of times, whenever a adaptation is done from a book, they leave out a lot of things or they skip a lot of essential things or they change things so much that they kill off people that aren't supposed to die and just really mess up a story. So going in, I had a little bit of hesitation, but then I saw Emma Myers was cast as Pip, Pippa Fitzmahoby, but Pip for short, and I thought, wow, what a perfect casting. She can play that kind of like detective character really well. There are things, of course, that they do change. And at first, I was a little bit annoyed, but then as I saw like where they were going, I realized this was a very faithful adaptation. It's just I had just read the book right before the first season came out, and I did that intentionally just so I would have like a fresh perspective from the book. And I really feel like Emma Myers gets Pip right. She plays her really well. She's a great actress. Of course, we know her as Enid from Wednesday. And she really showed a lot of range being able to play Pip. Because going in, I had only seen her in Wednesday, and I loved her character Enid there because it was a good contrast with Wednesday. Going into A Good Girl's Guide for Murder, I didn't know like how she was going to portray Pip, but honestly, she does it better than what I expected to the point to where I feel like she really was the only choice for that character at this point. And Ravi, of course, in the books, those two form a partnership, and he calls her Sarge, and I really like their thing, their relationship that's building, friendship into a relationship. But you could tell that they like each other. It just at first Ravi's hesitant because a lot of people are still judging his family because Sal, according to what the police say, Sal murdered Andy Bell and then killed himself. And the case has been closed for 5 years, but Pip cannot let it go. And in the book, they call it the capstone. In this, they call it the EPQ. But her EPQ, she decides to revisit the Andy Bell case. And she just never thought Sal did it. And the whole time, what I like about the show, they're building and building and building the tension. There is a specific scene that's a flashback where Pip is a kid and she's standing at her locker, and Andy goes by and into a classroom, and she goes like this to her, and then Sal asks Pip where she is, and Pip does tell her, but it keeps teasing that this is going to be like an ultimate character reveal, how the characters really are, how who was Sal, how was he as a person, how did he treat Andy, what was a relationship like, how did they handle arguments. And so I like that they build and build and build that scene, and then I won't tell you what happens, but they do eventually reveal what went down between those two, what kind of conversation they had. And I really think the whole show, you're trying to put the pieces together yourself. If you haven't read the book, you're probably going, okay, did Sal really kill Andy? And what happened between them? What was the big divide or rift? And I really like the way they did that. The only scene I was actually disappointed in a little bit, that was the one when they went to the place where Andy had stayed, and they're supposed to talk to an older lady that tells them that Andy was just there like last week, and they didn't do it that way. It was some employee, some guy. It was okay, but I was looking forward to seeing this like little old lady. I was expecting more of like a mom and pop place, not like a fancy hotel, more like a motel or like just a, the father or the, yeah, like the grandma, grandson, or however it was, mom and son, that relationship. I was looking forward to seeing the little old lady telling her that, and then her freaking out, and then the son coming in and saying, actually, she has memory problems, that isn't accurate, that kind of thing. And instead, they go in and they steal the guest list. So I was looking forward to that scene, and I felt like that's the only scene I can really say that I had imagined it going differently. But overall, they get it down pretty well. And Kara, her friend, and Naomi is an important character. So is Max Hastings, which he's a scum, and he played that character really well. Like actually watching the show on Netflix, it's a 6 episode limited series. Max Hastings, what did he did the Max Hastings character justice. That actor did. He played that character perfectly, and I was really impressed with his ability to portray that character and get it right. So I really liked him. Kara, however you want to say her name, she's one of my favorite characters in the books. Pip's best friend. I really, really liked her in the show. She was cute. She was funny. Her and keep wanting to say Enid, but her and Pip have a really good friendship, and I like their on-screen chemistry. As a friend, it was really good. I really liked it, and I liked Lauren as well. I didn't really know what to expect because she has a thing for Ant, and we don't really see much of Ant or Connor or Zach in this as much. It focuses more on Pip, Kara, of course, Andy, Sal, and Ravi. And I liked the guy that played her father and the brother and the mom. It just, I, that also went a little bit differently, but not so much in a bad way to the point to where it like ruins the story. So the changes they do make, they've added some characters to get us different plot points than how they hit them in the book. So that's like the biggest difference there is the major plot points are still hit, but they're hit differently. And this show could have had maybe a couple of more episodes because there was some things they could have put in there, but overall I think the 6 episodes was fine, and I am hoping for a season 2. This is one of those shows that's really well done. And like I said, it's very tricky. Also, I will say the scenery added to it. In the book, I believe it's called Fairview, but they call it something else like Little Something. And the scenery is amazing. They filmed this, I'm assuming, in England, and it just is spectacular. The scenery, the feel of the small town, they got down right. And there were some things, just film wise, it was filmed really, really well. And there were some things that I thought were executed perfectly where I was like, wow, okay, they did that really well. And they do allude to characters that are more important for the second book. They actually do mention a few characters that we do not see on screen that are brought up that will play a key if they do a second season. But regardless, if you read the books, you know who I'm talking about, and I don't want to spoil that either. So I'm trying not to spoil everything that happens, but there's a lot going on here. And the EPQ, I did a senior project in high school, and it really did prepare me for college, getting used to paper writing and presentations, that sort of thing. But I really liked that she decided to reopen a case that was considered closed as part of her project. And actually, one thing I will say, Daniel De Silva, at least in the first season, he comes off as a little more likable and just got himself in a bad situation. So he's a little bit more likable than in the books. Um, if I remember right, they didn't really do Stanley Forbes, and he's a big character in the first and second book. He actually helps and hurts at times. Him and Pip go head to head. They could have done an episode whenever she confronts him at the newspaper. I wish they would have done that as part of an episode, or maybe one full episode where she's doing her detective work. So they could have spent another episode or two of her digging around and more of the twists that happen in the books. That's the one thing I will say that could have been improved upon. Stanley Forbes, big character in the books, and he's even in the second one. And I really like the way those two go head to head. I thought episode 5 ended at the perfect cliffhanger because I was going to go to bed and I'm like, no, I have one more episode. Even though I worked the next day, I got to watch the final episode. So, like the book, I could not put the Netflix show down, right? I couldn't stop watching it. I think I watched it in the course of like 2 days. I think I did like the first 2 episodes one day, and then I did the last 4 the next day. And this is what streaming is for, right? because I'm all, you can see behind me, I have 4 movie shelves back there with TV shows, movies, over 500 in the collection. But this is what streaming's for. Those exclusive shows, limited series, movies that get put on streaming. And yeah, someday some of them may come out for physical media. But that's what I like streaming. And I'm getting ready to do a video here soon on the value of Netflix and everything. And I will get into that soon. So stay tuned for that. Like, comment, subscribe for the ultimate broship experience. And I really thank you for coming into the channel. Um, Let me know in the comments, what was your favorite thing about this adaptation? Did you enjoy it? Because, like I said, I overall thought they hit the nail on the head with most of it. And like I said, the characters, some of them are really likable to the point where I'm like, wow, I would like to see them take the second book and adapt that. And then there were some characters who were straight up just villains, a-holes. And then you have those complex characters where there are things about them you understand, and there are parts about them where you're like, oh, so you have some characters with layers that kind of fall in between there. So I really like that. Pip's dad, great. I wish we would have had more time with him because of the relationship, because he's not the biological dad, but he certainly acts like the biological dad. And they got that right where her dad's black. So I like that they actually stuck to that. And there's a little bit of tension between her and her parents, which is realistic for a teenager, but Pip is so driven and determined and stubborn to solve this case that nothing they do can stop her. And there were a few heartbreaking scenes that happened in the book that they did adapt to the show, and at first I was like, maybe they won't do this, and that might be a good thing. But then when they did do it, I'm like, yeah, because it adds more um, emotional weight. And even though they didn't do the scene the same way, they still got the drive of Pip back. Because I will say this, in the book, the killer, whoever goes after the dog, asked her to destroy her laptop and everything, but she has it saved back up on email, and she ends up using Robbie's computer. We did not explore that aspect of it, and they didn't go down that rabbit hole, but it's still a pretty good adaptation. And I look forward to a season 2 if it gets the green light for renewal. It was number 1 for a while, and then it was number 2 for a bit. So I'm hoping that it does get the green lit for a second season. Guys, that's all I have for now. Thanks for coming in. And I will say to close out, the one thing about this channel that I really like is that my buddy Jackrabbit and I are co-anchors, co-hosts for this channel. We're the primary content creators. We have some guests here from time to time, but what I like about this channel is that him and I have some common interests like wrestling and sports and movies, but he does more of the toy reviews and I do more of the pop culture stuff and media and movies, stuff like that. So I'm really glad that this channel was basically created so we could both talk to you, the audience, about a variety of things. I'm more into horror films than he is, and he is big into comic book adaptations. So his knowledge of like comics, DC, Marvel, that sort of thing is way higher than mine. He's watched the DC shows. He knows a lot of inside information just because he studies it and reads a lot of articles about it. So Jack's very knowledgeable about that, whereas I'm going to give you my honest opinion, but I'm also not going to try to bash something unless it absolutely deserves to be bashed. So as long as there are a few aspects that I enjoy, I will say a project is still okay to average just because there was something out of it I liked. But I try not to be overly critical. But at the same time, there are times where adaptations are so poor. I do have a feeling that the Borderlands film is going to be getting, if I see it, I'm definitely going to be giving it a bad review because based on the synopsis, it does not fit the movie at all. But that's all I have for today, guys. So thank you for tuning in, and I will see you at the next one. Be looking for um, multiple videos as I am actually filming a few things today. Take care.